Hi, everybody, and you're very welcome to our webinar this evening. It's Cancer Connects, and we're really happy. I'm Amy Nolan, I'm the Director of Clinical Affairs and work with children, adolescents, and young adults. And because this is AYA Awareness Week, we wanted to do something special for everyone that has been through cancer or maybe is currently going through cancer. And we have a fantastic lineup this evening. We have, just to introduce who you can see on the screen, we have Louise O'Brien from Boots, who's the Environment and Social Governance Manager, Michelle O'Sullivan, and Michelle's going to do our makeup, and Britt is going to do some mindfulness with us. And Kat works very closely with me and has put all of this together. So I'm really grateful to Kat as well. So I'd like to hand over to Louise from Boots, who is just going to give an introduction to Michelle. Thanks, Louise.
Lovely. Thanks very much, Amy. And as Amy referenced there, so I'm Louise and I am the ESG manager for Boots. And part of my role then means that I look after our partnership in conjunction with the Irish Cancer Society. So we've partnered with the Irish Cancer Society since 2012. And I'm delighted to say in that length of time, we've raised in excess of 3 million euros from a fundraising point of view. But alongside the funds that we raise, we also have some cancer support roles in our stores. And Michelle here is the Fab Michelle, who I'm very happy and very excited to introduce. So Michelle is our Boots Beauty Academy trainer. And Michelle has over 20 years experience working within the premium beauty and cosmetics industry, and equally as a makeup artist. So Michelle looks after all of the training for our own Boots Cancer Beauty Advisors, and we have over 50 across our stores, spread out over maybe 30 of our stores. And the service they provide is classed as Feel More Like You Again. So it helps you give advice on skin and makeup tips. But I'm not going to rob Michelle's thunder, and I'm going to hand straight across to Michelle. Thanks very much.
Oh, thank you so much, Louise. That was a lovely intro. Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. I'm losing my voice already. As Louise said, my name is Michelle O'Sullivan. I'm the Beauty Academy trainer for Boots Ireland, and I'm very, very privileged to train all of our Boots Cancer Beauty Advisors within Number 7. It's something I'm very proud to be a part of, and I'm so, so pleased to be here with you all this evening. I'm going to share my screen with you now because I've put together a little bit of a PowerPoint with lots of visuals for you. And let's get sharing that first, and then I can talk you through what we're going to be doing. Okay, so today, or this evening, should I say, I'm going to talk to you all things skincare, best practices about looking after your skin, some do's and don'ts, as well as some makeup tips as well. And do please feel free to interrupt me at any stage. If you are feeling really brave and you want to come on the mic, please do ask me a question, or you can use the chat box as well. I know Amy's going to keep an eye on the chat box for me because when I'm presenting, I can't see the chat box. But please do ask me any question. No question's a silly question. I'm happy to answer anything that I can. And I do love an emoji as well. So give me some love or some smiles or a thumbs up, anything you'd like to do, I'm happy to see. Because it can be a little bit lonely when you're presenting just to a screen. So I'd love a bit of interaction if you're feeling up to it. All right, so changes that you might see in your skin, you know, after starting treatment, or maybe when you're going through treatment, you might experience some dryness, some irritation, maybe some flakiness, itching. Your skin can be sore, it can be inflamed. You might also see some discoloration. You might see changes to your nails, your hands, your feet, which can also be very sore as well. So I'm going to talk you through some products that really do help combat some of those concerns. So let's start with cleansers. So my best advice would be to avoid anything that's like a foaming cleanser, because they can be really, really drying and irritate your delicate skin. So opt for cream-based cleansers, or cleansers that have aqua, or excuse me, I'm going to have a little drink of some water. There we go. Get rid of that frog in my throat. Look for cleansers that have like aqua, glycerin, or squalene as like the first ingredient in it, because that's going to be really, really hydrating on your skin. There's some examples of really good cleansers on the screen there, and I can share a list of products after today's session if that's something that you'd want. So you've got Derm Solutions, which is a number 7 cleanser, really, really gentle on the skin. You've got Bioma, again, super, super gentle cleanser. The Ordinary, that's a squalene-based cleanser, and you've got CeraVe, which is a hydrating cleanser with hyaluronic acid as well. Some ingredients that you can look for is anything with ceramides, anything with hyaluronic acid, anything with squalene, like I said, they're all going to be super hydrating on your skin. When it comes to cleansing, always remember to double cleanse, especially if you wear an SPF or if you are wearing a little bit of makeup as well, as your first cleanse will simply be taken off the day, while your second cleanse will actually be the one that's cleaning your skin. Avoid using very hot water, as because again, this will further dry out your skin and potentially irritate it as well. And I always recommend to use a face cloth or a muslin cloth to gently exfoliate the skin. I probably would avoid exfoliators if you can, because like that, they can be too abrasive or too harsh on the skin, especially anything that has exfoliating beads, just avoid. So that's all things cleansers. Do we have any questions on cleansers or anything in the chat box there, Amy, or are we okay to move on?
Nothing on the chat box
Could
there.
I ask? Because I'm learning.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure, of course.
Sorry,
Go for it,
I'm
Louise.
learning something new here. Squalene. So
Yes.
what's squalene? Sorry,
So
if I'm pronouncing it right.
That's okay. So squalene is an ingredient, it's called a humectant. So it binds moisture to the skin. So it's going to hold moisture in your skin. So squalene, hyaluronic acid as well, although it says acid, it's actually, again, it's a humectant. So not squalene, hyaluronic acid binds 1,000 times its weight in moisture to your skin. So they're all about, it's like something that sticks moisture to your skin. That answer your question?
Thank you very much.
Yeah, wonderful. No problem. Great question. Okay, so again, when it comes to moisturizers, you want to stick to products that are designed for sensitive skin to reduce the risk of sensitization, irritation. So again, you want to be looking for water-based products, or like I said before, ingredients like ceramides, niacinamide, hyaluronic acid are really going to protect, nourish, and hydrate your skin. So ceramides is a real buzzword in skincare at the moment, and you're probably seeing it in a lot of products. So if you think of ceramide like a lid for your skin, okay? So it's going to protect your skin's natural barrier. And if your natural barrier is protected, it stops you from losing moisture and it holds moisture in. So a great ingredient to have. Niacinamide as well helps protect the skin's natural barrier. It also works really well at evening skin tone, works with texture, great ingredient to have in your skincare. What you want to avoid is products that contain perfumes. Also, some ingredients we're seeing a lot of people interested in would be retinol, which is vitamin A, vitamin C, salicylic acid, glycolic acid, AHAs and BHAs, which are all designed to speed up the skin's natural turnover process, so they can really irritate the skin. So I would avoid any of those ingredients. They're not going to be ideal for your skin. And salicylic acid especially the idea of salicylic acid is it controls oil in the skin, but can be really, really irritated for sensitive or healing skin. So just avoid it. With any skincare that you've not tried before, there is a possibility of irritation and sensitivity. So I would always chat with your consultant first before you try anything new, just to ensure that we try and protect your skin as much as possible. And also you may experience some breakouts from treatment, which will look like acne. What you don't want to do is use a product that is designed for acne, because it can make the problem much worse. Again, I have some examples of really lovely moisturizers and serums that you could go for. So you've got Bubble. Bubble is a really trending skincare line at the minute, and it's designed for kind of younger, sensitive skin. Great brand to go for. Hydrating moisturizer. You've got hyaluronic acid in there and lots of skin loving ingredients. You've got The Ordinary hyaluronic acid there, 2%, which is a great one to go for. Number 7 Hydroluminous Day Cream. Again, it's packed full of skin loving ingredients. You've got hyaluronic acid and niacinamide in there as well. Bioma is a fabulous brand to go for too. You've got ceramides in there, niacinamide, green tea. So all really soothing, nourishing ingredients, should I say. You've got the Boots Lip Salve there, which is great for keeping the lips hydrated. And then the Inkey List Hyaluronic Acid and Simple Hydrating Gel Cream, all great examples of moisturizers and serums that are good to go for. So let's talk about SPF. Louise, have you got your hand up?
have. I'm going to be one of them annoying people.
Never.
Michelle, can I just double check? So, as the mum of young girls,
Yeah.
what's the recommendation? So, I'm conscious if anybody's looking back at this and maybe they're not, in terms of, maybe they're only early teens. What's the
Yeah.
recommendation for age-wise in terms of using products? And yeah.
So I would avoid any kind of active ingredients. So like I said, your retinols, your vitamin C's, avoid them until over the age of 18. But even anybody that's going through treatment, I would just avoid them anyway because they can tend to irritate the skin. But hyaluronic acid is perfect to go for. Niacinamide is fine. Anything that's going to protect, nourish, moisture the skin. Anything that's anti-aging, you don't need to even touch. And that your retinol is anti-aging. Your glycolic acid, salicylic acid is designed to combat oil and breakouts. They could potentially irritate the skin, so I wouldn't touch them.
Perfect, lovely. Thanks, Michelle.
That okay? Vitamin C, you'll see a lot of products with vitamin C in there, and vitamin C is generally okay, but because it's an active ingredient, it has the potential to cause a reaction. So I would just be mindful of that. Like I said, have a chat with your consultant first, before you try anything new. Okay, so let's talk about SPF. So if there is one thing that you take away from this session today, it is to protect your skin from sun damage. Your skin is so delicate, and especially after treatment, your skin can be more sensitive to sunlight, prone to sunburn. So like I said, my best advice is to make sure that you're wearing an SPF of at least 50 in warm weather and then 30 the rest of the time. Avoid being out in direct sun during 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. Make sure that you wear a hat, and don't forget to apply your sun cream on your neck, ears, hands, and then you do need to reapply every 2 hours. You want to look for broad spectrum UVA and UVB protection. So UVA has a longer wavelength and is associated with skin aging, whereas UVB has shorter rays from the sun, and that's associated with skin burning. So if you've got UVA and UVB, you're covering all aspects. And again, I have some examples of some great SPFs there on the screen. So you've got CeraVe, you've got Bubble, which again is a trending brand. Eucerin is a really great one for super sensitive skin. You've got Sultan, and you've got La Roche-Posay as well. Amy, did you have a question? Is there a hand up there?
Sorry,
Is it
Michelle. My
Okay.
question is about if you have in some moisturizers SPF, and sometimes it can be 15 or 30.
Yeah.
So do you need to apply that, another layer as well, or should you just use the moisturizer, or should you use the SPF and then put a moisturizer on, or how do you do that?
Okay, so whatever is the top layer of SPF will be the highest S. So say, for instance, if you're wearing an SPF 30 moisturizer, and then you're wearing, say, a foundation with an SPF 15, you're going to be getting the protection of the SPF 30 because that's the highest one. If you've got like a tinted moisturizer that's an SPF 30, that's absolutely fine. You don't necessarily have to wear an SPF on top of that, but it's just ensuring that you have an SPF of some kind. I would say minimum 30. 15 is fine, but you're going to have to reapply it more. So you've got kind of more protection if you go with the 30. 50 when the sun is out for sure.
Thanks, Michelle.
No problem at all. Have we any more questions, or happy for me to move on?
Nothing in the chat.
Okay,
There.
wonderful.
Thanks, Michelle.
I hope I'm not speaking too fast. I tend to get into it and start speaking really fast, so I'll start, make sure I try and keep my voice
No,
slower.
thank you, Michelle.
No problem. Okay, so when it comes to body wash and showering, you want to avoid long hot showers or baths because they can tend to dry out the skin. Use fragrance-free, cream-based and gentle cleansers. So again, avoid your foaming agents. Think cream-based cleansers. You want to look for ingredients like shea butter, ceramides, like I talked about earlier on, hyaluronic acid. Again, you're going to hear me say the same ingredients again and again, but we know they are the best ones for keeping your skin hydrated and nourished. You don't want to strip the skin of its natural oils. And Silcox Base is a fantastic alternative to soap. It works for most skin types. I've used it on both of my boys since they were born because they both have eczema and really, really sensitive skin, and it always works wonders. Another great one to go, another product that is great to go for if your skin is exceptionally dry and sensitive would be rosehip oil, jojoba oil, coconut oil is great to add into a moisturizer that you already have. It's great for your cuticles, like that. If your cuticles are very, very sore and inflamed, you can put that around your cuticles at night before you go to bed. Great on the feet, great in your hair, on your scalp, on your knees, on your elbows, anywhere that you're feeling maybe that you need that little bit of extra nourishment. Great ones to go for and readily available everywhere. There's some examples here on the screen of some great body washes. You've got Silcox Base, like I was speaking about, great alternative to soap. Like I said, Vino is a great brand with really, really natural gentle cleansers. You've got the Eco Warrior All Over Body Bar. For those of you who are thinking about sustainability and not wanting to use plastic bottles, this is a great one to go for. And Weleda have a fantastic, really gentle, creamy body wash as well. So some fantastic products to go for. So when it comes to deodorants and moisturizers, a gentler alternative to use when it comes to deodorant would be an aluminium-free deo because they can prevent irritation. However, some can still contain alcohol, which can irritate the skin and cause inflammation and dry out the skin. So do be mindful when you're using it. Just maybe try it out in an area first. And the same with body moisturizers as before, go for richer, creamier products as opposed to lotions because they're going to be more nourishing on your skin. And when you're applying moisturizer, do it on damp skin. So, as soon as you get out of the shower, when your skin is still kind of damp, pop your moisturizer on them because you have maximum absorption into the skin. Another great moisturizer there on the screen is the Boots Dermacare Daily Moisturizing Cream. Absorbs really quickly into the skin, really gentle, and lots of lovely skin-loving ingredients in there as well. You've got the Elav Intensive Cream, which is fabulous for looking after the skin, your E45 cream, and your Garnier Superfood Repairing Butter as well. All absorb really quickly into the skin. And you've got some examples of some great deodorants there as well. So I've had a couple of questions about tan. So I know we all love that sun-kissed glow. However, I would say that wear off tan is probably not something that I would recommend if your skin is very, very sensitive and maybe going through healing. Maybe it's a bit drier. If you are going through treatments, you probably will see that's more sensitized and dry. So the reason why I would avoid wear off tan is because it contains an ingredient called DHA. Please don't ask me what DHA means because it's gone out of my brain right now. I will come back to me, I'm sure. But the idea of that
dihydroxychloric acid.
Thank you, Louise. I knew I'd lose that. I should have wrote it down. I was like DHA. But essentially what that ingredient does is it encourages the color to develop deeper. So that ingredient can cause sensitivity, dryness, and irritation in the skin. So opt for instant tan. It washes off and it's going to give you that little bit of a glow, but it's not going to dry out your skin or potentially irritate your skin. And bronzer is a great one to go for as well. So you've got a couple of examples of really lovely instant tans there that you can pop on. Make sure you use your mitt because you don't want to destroy your hands. And the Rimmel Kind and Free bronzer is a really lovely natural kind of glowy bronzer. It's not that kind of really strong, really, really soft and gentle, just give you that sun-kissed glow. Any questions on tan before we move on?
Michelle,
Yes.
the wear off tan, what do you mean by that?
So that like the mousse and the lotion that you would apply and leave it on, it kind of the color comes up over 4, 6, 8 hours. And
Okay.
then it wears off over a couple of days. That's what I mean by wear off tan. Sorry,
Okay.
I should have said that
Thank
at the
you.
beginning.
No, that's
Yeah.
perfect. Thank you.
Whereas instant tan is almost like a makeup for the body that washes off the same day.
Brilliant. Thank you.
No problem.
Michelle, would you avoid using an exfoliator, with the false tan? Would you advise using an exfoliator as well then on the body, similar to the face?
Yeah, I like if you are using an exfoliator, I would use something that's really, really look for a gentle exfoliator. I would tend to, rather than actually getting anything that has beads in it or sugar granules or salt granules, they can potentially irritate the skin. So a muslin cloth with your body wash will gently exfoliate the skin. But in instant tan, you won't need to exfoliate as much, whereas you would with a wear off tan because that sticks to the skin. So I just would avoid the wear off tans for that reason as well, because they're going to stick to any dry areas also.
Perfect. Thanks, Mel.
No problem. So when it comes to hair and scalp care, so you might experience some thinning of the hair and potentially hair loss. So you really do need to be super careful with your scalp and with your hair. So use gentle shampoos and conditioners. Ideally try and stay away from sulfate, paraben free. I have some examples of really gentle shampoos and conditioners on the screen there. So you've got Elav, you've got Weleda, the Boots hyaluronic acid shampoo and conditioner is really lovely. I use that myself all the time. Super gentle on the scalp. I actually have alopecia myself. This is actually a wig. And my scalp is super sensitive. I've got some areas that are irritated, so I really love that particular range because it keeps my scalp and my hair just nourished and looked after, but in a really gentle way. You've got some examples there of a really soft brush. You want something that's not going to potentially irritate your scalp, but that is going to obviously look after your hair. You've got the Batiste natural dry shampoo there which has coconut oil and hemp seed oil in there as well. So again, really nourishing on the scalp. A wide tooth comb is great for when your hair is thinning because it's really gentle. It's not going to encourage any more hair loss. And something that's great to go for if your scalp is irritated or sensitive would be a cotton scalp liner. It's great for sleeping it. But yeah, that's all things kind of scalp and shampoo. You could also pop some oil onto your scalp if it's very dry and itchy, and just massage that into your scalp before you go to sleep as well. And that will help keep your scalp nourished, because the skin on our scalp is very similar to the skin on our face. So we do need to look after that as well. Amy, you got a question?
Yeah, another question around the scalp. When your hair falls out or starts falling out, sometimes it can be really sore and really painful. And so would you recommend the oil then, Michelle?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, coconut oil, jojoba oil, and like that, just massage it gently into the scalp, and that will help kind of keep it nourished and soothed. Yeah.
Thanks, Michelle.
No problem. So I tend to get a lot of questions about brows, so on how to map the brow. You may experience some loss of the brows or complete loss of the brows. So this is definitely one of the top questions we get asked in the Feel More Like You Again service that we do in our Boots stores. So on the screen here, you've got an example of how to map your brows. And how we kind of describe it is you use your nose as your guideline. So I'm going to show you, I'm going to take my glasses off. I've got my little eyebrow pencil here. So you want to place the end of your pencil vertically from the dimple of your nose. So that would be kind of the bridge of your nose, okay? And up to the inner corner of your eye. So what I do is I use my pencil as my guideline, and I'll do a little dot just in the inner corner of my nose. Then you want to lay your pencil from the bridge of your nose through the center of your eye, and just slightly above will be where your eyebrow will naturally arch, and I will do another little dot there. And then to find the tail of your eyebrow, you use the kind of outer part of the nose through the outer corner of the eye is where your tail should end. And you'll see on the screen that kind of gives you a guideline on how to map out your brow. And then I have some examples of some great brow products to go for. You can, if you've had complete loss of your brows, the brow tattoos are amazing, and they're available on Amazon. They are like the tattoo transfers that we would have got, that you can get. You know, those little tattoos that you can kind of put onto the skin. They're like a sticker, and then you put some water on top of them, and then the top comes off and you're left with it. They are the very same. They come off with like coconut oil or any kind of eye makeup remover. They just come off after a day or two, but they're great even as a guideline, and you can put some product on top of them as well. You can go for a waterproof brow pencil. I've got some examples on the screen there. Revolution do a great one. Also Elf do a fantastic one. If you are filling in your brows, the waterproof ones will stay in place. They're sweat proof. They are like you could do sports in them and they're not going to run off the face. They'll stay in place. If you do have complete loss of brows, or if you've got patches, the powders are great to go for because they will adhere to the skin and they'll fill in any gaps for you. And then you also have brow liners, where NYX have a fantastic one. I have it here and you'll see it on the screen there as well, but it's super, super thin. You might be able to see that. It's almost like an eyeliner brush, but it's great for drawing like hair-like strokes. You probably won't be able to see that on the screen. It's fab for drawing hair-like strokes onto the skin. Benefit also do, and number 7 do, like a 3-pronged brow liner, which gives those kind of hair-like strokes as well, and they're waterproof, so fab for giving that hair-like look to the brows. And when it comes to lashes, you could use, I've got the e.l.f. Waterproof eyeliner there on the screen. Great for just if you wanted to give a little bit of definition to the lash line, and smudge it in. You don't have to be super neat. You could just pop it on and smudge it in with a brush, or you could use your finger, or you could use a cotton bud, just to give a slight bit of shadow to the lash line, and it will give the appearance of lashes. Or if you had, say, a party or an event coming up, the C-Lash from Eylure are amazing, and they actually come on silicone strip, so you can stick them directly onto the skin. It does come with glue, but you don't have to use the glue. You can just stick on with the strip and then use a little bit of eyeliner just to hide the join, and they look really natural. They're not very long. They are more to just give a very, very natural daytime look to the lashes, but a great one to go for. I use them on my clients all of the time. I'm trying to think about anything else to tell you about brows and lashes. Yes, if you have found that maybe you had previously lost your lashes and brows and they are starting to come back, then a great thing to go for would be a lash and brow serum, because these are really going to nourish your hair that is starting to come back. And The Ordinary have a fab one. Number 7 have one as well. Like that, loads of skin loving ingredients that will just help nourish the hair that's coming back. But a great thing to opt for when you finish treatment and you're starting to see maybe the hair is coming back. e.l.f. do one as well. So I've got Ordinary, the e.l.f. and number 7 all have some fantastic, really budget friendly serums for brows and lashes. So then when it comes to makeup, so again, I would avoid going for anything that's long wearing, because it can tend to be really dry on the skin and potentially irritate the skin. So look for BB creams, tinted moisturizers, something that's going to give you a lovely glow to your skin, a hint of color, because your skin might be feeling, you know, dry, dull, irritated, like I said. So the likes of the e.l.f. Halo Glow, really, really sheer product, but gives a nice glow to the skin. You've got the Maybelline BB cream. It's an 8-in-1 beauty balm, so it's got lots of skin loving ingredients in there. Again, hyaluronic acid is in there. You've got the e.l.f. Skin Wow Glow, which is a dupe for Supergoop. I'm getting my brands confused. It's a dupe for Supergoop. Great SPF 30 primer for the skin. Again, has a hint of color in it. The Rimmel Kind and Free foundation is a really super natural one to go for. Again, really gentle on the skin. And what I would say to you is, rather than going for, if you are finding that you've got maybe a little bit of discoloration, or you do have a little bit of a breakout, go for your BB cream or your tinted moisturizer, and then just use your concealer where you need it, rather than going for a heavy coverage foundation all over. Just conceal where is needed. And I've got 2 examples of great concealers on the screen there. You've got the IT Cosmetics Bye Bye Under Eye. Even though it says it's for under eyes, you can use it everywhere. And when I tell you, a little bit goes a long way. It's a really waxy product. So like a pinprick on the top of your finger, warm it up with your fingers together and just press into the skin, and it gives great coverage. It's really long lasting as well. And the e.l.f. Camo Cover Concealer is an absolute cult favorite. Again, a little bit goes a long way, and just use it in the areas that you need it. And then something that's absolutely trending at the minute would be lip oils. Lip oils are huge. Everybody wants them in their life. So I put 2 examples of some lip oils on the screen for you. So you've got e.l.f. and you've got NYX. Just give a lovely hint of a glow to the lips, but really nourishing and moisturizing as well.
No, that was absolutely
Mich-
fantastic, Michelle. Thank you so much.
No problem at all.
Michelle,
Thank
I'll
you.
pop in the chat if that's of use to anybody. So Michelle trains upper cancer beauty advisors, and we have over 50 across 30 of our stores. We have 95 stores, but the stores that we have space to give that better service in, that there's a seat in, that people can actually come in and sit down. So it's a free
Yeah.
service. There's absolutely no obligation to buy anything. That's not what it's about. So there's an opportunity, and then you can book in online if you want to make that appointment. So I'll put that link in the chat if anybody does want to follow up on that. But as Michelle says, she is very kindly there to answer any questions, even post today.
Yeah,
Thanks
absolutely.
so much, Louise.
TikTok
Yeah.
is another great a great place to find lots of tips and tricks when it comes to makeup, concealing, products to go for. I'm sure you all know that everybody loves TikTok these days. And on boots.ie, there's lots of how-to videos as well for a lot of our products.
That's really helpful, Michelle. And I think it's a lot of food for thought. What you've gone through there is really appropriate for anybody who's going through treatment currently or trying to manage some of the, some of the visual side effects that have such an impact when you're going through treatment. So I think, making you feel like yourself again is so important. And you've
Important.
done
Yeah.
an amazing job there going through all of those products. We'd need to actually sit there with a book and go through it. So yeah,
Okay.
absolutely brilliant. Thank you so much, Michelle. And thank you, Louise, for facilitating as well. Thank you.
You're so welcome. Thanks for having me.
Well, guys.
So, I think we can move on now to Brit and for a little bit of relaxation and mindfulness. Just to let everybody know, Brit is Dublin based and she's a mindful meditation teacher. Brittany Winkleman is her full title, and she is going to guide us through a very useful self compassion practice and give us some useful tools to help us to understand feelings of stress, feelings of being overwhelmed, anger, and anxiety that we all encounter at different points in our day, in our lives. So we really look forward to this session with you, Britt. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Amy. And thank you so much for having me. And Michelle, I learned so much. So thank you very much. So as Amy mentioned, I am here in Ireland and I have been for the past 9 years. And I teach meditation and I'm currently in college to become a psychotherapist. And my passion is really about helping to guide others and lead others back into their own heart. And finding a little bit more joy and levity in our everyday lives. So without further ado, we're going to move along to the next slide and we're going to do a little sit together. And this is going to be a short sit, and it's what I like to call a landing meditation. So it's just for a few minutes, just so we can settle and kind of get into the mind frame of switching from beauty products into cultivating some joy and happiness. So traditionally, just before we land, we breathe in and out through our nose to meditate. Now, this might not always be possible, and that's okay. We might have a stuffy nose, or there's several other reasons that this might not be possible for us. But there's a few reasons why. I love to know the why, so I'm going to give you guys all the why. And the why behind the breathing in and out through the nostrils is there are several benefits. There's the relaxation. It actually has been proven to enhance focus, and it also regulates body temperature and the moisture of the air that's going into our body. And just coming into stillness, take a moment to ease into your surroundings. And I'd like to invite you to just notice if there are any sounds that you can hear inside the room that you're currently sitting in. Possibly the humming of a heater, or the sound of your own breath. Maybe a clock, or maybe just the sound of my voice. Now see if you can allow your attention to shift. Notice if there are any sounds outside the room that you're in. Possibly a TV or the hum of a radio, cars passing by, maybe the wind. If you're in Ireland as well, there's a high likelihood you might be hearing some wind. And just noticing the sounds and how many can you hear individually. Now gently moving the attention from one distinct sound to the next. And if it's quiet and all you can hear is my voice, then simply just notice my voice. Now releasing the sounds, we're going to shift our attention to the body. Just noticing the points of our body that are in contact with the chair or the ground. Feeling the support of the chair or the surface that we're on and how that contact feels in the body. You might feel warmth at those contact points, or it might feel prickly. You might want to shift or move. Just noticing what it feels like for you. Now gently scanning the body. Notice if there's anywhere in particular that's holding tension. There might be one area or several. Pay particular attention to your forehead and your jaw and your shoulders. And as you breathe, see if you can breathe in some calm energy and breathe out any of the tension or the nervousness or anxiousness that's being held in those body parts. And as we practice this here in this short meditation, let's do a little experiment. And I'd invite you to say to yourself as you breathe, I'm breathing in calm and out tension. And see if we can melt away any of that tension, just like butter melting on a warm plate. See if we can soften the areas in our body that are feeling tight or tense. Just welcome a bit of softness. Shifting now from our body and starting to once again shift our attention to noticing any sounds you hear, either inside or outside the room. And now once again, bringing the attention to the chair or the surface that's supporting you right now. And then gently starting to wiggle your toes or your fingers or even your nose. Just starting to alert the body that we're preparing to come back into the room together. And when you're ready, you can gently take a moment to blink open your eyes if they've been closed and come back into the space together. So welcome back. We're going to move on to the next slide, please, Kat. And we're going to go through a little experiment. So we're going to imagine a friend, right? And it's going to take a little bit of imagination here. And this could be someone that you know and that you have in your life right now, or it could be a character that's portrayed in one of your favorite TV shows or a movie. And this particular friend is one that is always telling you that you don't look good in those clothes. You shouldn't be wearing that. Or you aren't smart enough to be writing those poems, or dreaming about being a doctor or a scientist. It's not for you. Or that you'll never make the sports team that you want to try out for, or you'll never get into that college that you want to go to. This is the friend who tells you you can't, you shouldn't, or that you aren't enough. And you have a pretty clear picture, I'm sure, of what this friend, how this friend might make you feel, right? And just take a quick pause and think and feel and experience what your body feels like after hearing me describe what this kind of friend does. For me, I get tense and a bit more closed off. And now we're going to allow that friend, who was possibly a real or fictional character, to just walk away for now, okay? And we're going to imagine a friend who is always telling us that you look beautiful today. Your unique fashion is what makes your beauty so special. And that you're smart and you're capable of achieving whatever you put your energy into. This is the friend that tells you that you're enough and that you are capable and that you're so enjoyable to be around just as you are, and that you're worthy of happiness, joy, and love. Now, just take a moment to feel in your body how that feels. And just by a quick emoji raise of hands, did anyone feel a difference in their body? I know I did. For me, I felt more open, more joy, more soft. Good. Yeah, we did. We have a few that felt a difference. Does anyone know who they will spend the most time with in their lives? The most. Just have a little think. Who do you think you're going to spend the most time with through your entire life? It's you. It's actually the voice that lives inside of you. And we spend our entire lives with so many people coming and going, and some make us feel really supported and safe, and some make us feel a bit of the ick, you know? And a lot of our friends and family members, they're a mix. You know, some days it feels really good and nice, and others it's harder, it's tougher, and that's totally normal. But right now, we're going to talk about the voice and who we carry and who we listen to, because the person we spend all of our time with in our wakeful hours and when we sleep, the one who's with us when we're scared and when we feel alone or sad, and also the one who's with us when we feel joy and when we're experiencing new things that excite us. Which friend would you like to have? Which friend helps us grow and feel seen and safe? Which friendship would you like to strengthen? Would you all agree that we would love to have the supportive friend that wants us to succeed, that tells us that we can, that makes us feel loved and safe? Yeah, me too. And would you all agree that friendships take time and energy? They take effort. You have to grow friendships. You have to cultivate friendships. You know, they do take energy and effort. And just like building strength or stamina in the weight room, or learning a new skill like playing an instrument or how to knit or design anime characters, this takes practice and it takes consistency. And where energy goes, energy flows. I'm actually unsure of who created that or who had that saying, but I love it because I really believe in it. Where you put your energy and your time, that's where the energy flows. So now you might be asking me, Britt, what does this have to do with meditation? And this brings us to our next slide. So what is meditation, right? Are there rules? How do we do it? How do we find our anchor? What is an anchor? So what is it? Meditation is the weight room or the practice for living a life with a strong, open heart. Meditation, in its traditional sense of the practice, has incredible roots and a wealth of Eastern philosophy and wisdom. And behind this knowledge, it's helped individuals and communities create what has shaped what we now call a meditation practice. So now immediately, I'd say it's safe to say that a good few of you had an image of a monk sitting cross-legged in a serene landscape with a particular posture and their hands a certain way, and an idea of what they're thinking about, or rather what they aren't thinking about, right? A clear, empty mind. I know when I first started this journey, I thought that it was so peaceful because it was completely quiet, right? Nothing was happening. But that's actually a really common misconception about meditation. The purpose or the goal is not to get rid of your thoughts or have a silent mind. By a raise of hand, really quickly, for those who want to interact, does anyone think that that's possible? And there's no wrong answers. There's no wrong answers. But does anyone think it's possible to actually have a completely quiet mind, void of any thoughts? Okay. And now by a raise of hands, have you or anyone you know, has anyone achieved that? Does anyone know of anyone who's achieved that? I don't either. Oh, Amy knows. Amy, who is the enlightened one?
Oh, my childminder. She definitely can do it. Yeah, which is probably good with the two kids I have. Yeah.
I love that. So if you, the goal is to, or the purpose of meditation, instead of emptying the mind, it's actually to just familiarize and befriend what's happening in the mind. And so by a show of hands, who's immediately relieved by that? Like I definitely was when I learned that, because I thought that it was actually to achieve full quietness. And actually, it's just to understand the noise that's actually happening within us. So I have ADHD, and I genuinely thought that I would never be able to meditate. And I listened to those thoughts for a while. But which friend was I actually listening to? The supportive one who saw me for me and could try a different method of meditation, or the one who was telling me you can't? So what we're trying to do is we reframe or plant more mental seeds for really fostering or strengthening the friendship with the friend that feels safe and feels supportive. And so are there rules? Who says people like myself, and probably a few of you out there who have neurodivergent brains like me, who crave and love and need movement? Who says we can't practice meditation? Who says meditation needs to be done sitting down? Who says how long we need to meditate, or what position or posture we need to meditate in? All the postures and positions might not be comfortable. They're not comfortable for me. So there aren't any rules, not unless you plan on or dream of having a rigorous meditation practice that's based and rooted in having and respecting the traditional, maybe Theravada Buddhist meditation, or if you have a dream or desire to be a monk. Other than that, I'm a true believer of there aren't really any rules unless you know the why you meditate. So we might all have different reasons on why we found or leaned into meditation. Excuse me, my little asthmatic lungs. I know mine was actually to acknowledge and accept my true authentic self and to love her. And even though for a good portion of my life I hadn't, meditation has given me the gift of seeing and accepting myself. Now, for others, it might be to experience more joy or find in situations and phases in our lives that we just feel overwhelmed and we experience a lot of suffering, that we can find some levity, some joy, some comfort. And it might also to be create more sustainable relationships with those around us, or create a felt sense of safety and less fear and chaos. So our why of how we found meditation is very unique, and it's personal, and it can often change hundreds of times throughout our lifetime. But the actual why of why we meditate is all born from the same reason. And it's to reduce suffering. And suffering is pain, both emotional and physical, and hopefully result in an increase of happiness and joy. And the work or the practice is to not push away the suffering or the pain, or to hide the suffering or pain, or to be ashamed of the suffering or pain. It's to acknowledge the suffering and the pain, and to send love to the parts of us that are experiencing the suffering and the pain. And this also goes the other way. The goal is not to grasp onto or wish for happiness and joy, because this in itself creates more suffering and pain. We won't always be in immense levels of joy, and we won't always be in immense levels of sadness. It's riding the waves and being able to come into an experience, excuse me, experience it, and then let it pass. And this goes with both the experiences where we feel pain and when we feel joy. So when we experience something else, there's now room. We're not grasping on, right? So we have what's called an anchor, and you're going to hear me talk about an anchor. And if you decide that meditation is something that you really want to cultivate, you're going to hear the word anchor a lot. And we are not on a pirate ship, although that would be super cool. But I have this mentor named Jack Kornfield, and oftentimes when I talk about the anchor, I talk about Jack because I talk about a puppy, right? So oftentimes when Jack is teaching us, he will tell us over and over and over again to train the puppy. So when you're in a meditation and you have an anchor, and we'll talk about how to find an anchor in just a moment, throughout every meditation, you will train the puppy. Who is the puppy? I want a puppy. Like, where can I get one? Your mind is the puppy, okay? So when you're training a puppy, we're told, this is a real puppy now, so shift a little bit. We're told to always use positive reinforcement and a lot of gentle repetition. So if they get distracted, you can use like a clicker, or a treat, and boom, they're back, right? This works for me as well with food. But there's no drama. There's no punishment. Just a quick reminder. And again, you have their full attention. And the same goes for you. If you find your mind wandering, either during a meditation or in a life situation like at school or in the car, and your thoughts start to maybe take you on a journey or start to tell you a story that might be taking you away from an experience that's happening right now in the moment, as soon as you realize or you notice that you're planning what you're going to do after the meditation, or you're reminiscing about your great adventure that you went on last weekend, no problem. Just come back. Keep training the puppy. And eventually you're going to spend less time in the past and in the future and spend more time here, which is ultimately the purpose and or the goal, if you will, of meditation. It's to give yourself the opportunity to experience more of life here, right now. And as a physical reminder for myself, which I have found really helpful in my practice, is when I feel a bit of overwhelm or when I feel a bit of stress coming on, I usually put my hand over my heart. And this is just a physical reminder to stay and to feel and to experience instead of leave the situation. Because for a long time in my life, and I know several others, when I got scared or I felt sad, I would actually do something called I would dissociate. So I would still be in my body, but my mind would go somewhere else. And it's a beautiful protective mechanism, and it actually helps us in a lot of ways. But when we can start to understand our feelings and our emotions, we can use our anchor, which we'll talk about now, and or our physical sense of touch to stay and to try to work with and through these so that we can experience more of life, because life is so beautiful and it's also so scary. it's and not or. So the anchor, right, is what brings us back to a safe place. It brings us home. So we're fully present to experience things that feel nice and things that might not feel so nice. And oftentimes people use the breath. So if you go on to like YouTube or any other service, it's usually going to be the breath. Now, as you have heard throughout my presentation, I have asthma and I have other experiences which make focusing on my breath activating for me. I wouldn't often use the breath as my anchor. So I like to offer alternatives because why not? So you can use your breath. And by using your breath, what I'm trying to offer you here is you can come back to the feeling of your breath, the feeling of your lungs expanding and relaxing, or you can use the feeling of maybe the coolness of the breath going in through the nostrils, and then the warmth coming and maybe touching the top of your upper lip. So you can use either of those. And there's no right or wrong anchor. It's just something you can come back to train the puppy. It's essentially the clicker or the treat, right? So pick your clicker or treat. Now, what I like to use often is are sounds, because sounds for me feel safe. I understand them, and it's something that's outside of my body. So I'll use my breath sometimes, and if I feel it's a bit too much, I'll just shift to sounds, right? So it might be the birds chirping, or it might be the water heater humming. And there's no right or wrong anchor, but what I do recommend is, by just like building muscle, you're going to want to strengthen it. So you're going to want to practice, and you can change anchors on different days. But if you pick one that genuinely feels safe and you build some traction on this anchor, it's going to strengthen, and you're going to be able to use it in real life situations a bit easier. It's going to become more of a flow and not an effort. So you're just going to simply shift your attention when you start to feel yourself become activated. And when I mean by being activated, I mean maybe it's feelings of anxiety or overwhelming sadness. Even overwhelming joy can be overwhelming sometimes, right? We can feel a lot and it can happen all of a sudden. So for me, it's usually here. Like I'll do this a lot in college as I'm studying to be a psychotherapist. It's a lot of feelings, and sometimes it can be overwhelming. And sometimes when we go and step into places that feel a bit scary or too much, I'll just place my hand on my heart. It could be brief or it could be a long stint, but it's just a reminder to stay and a decision to allow myself the ability to experience the situation. And I know that if it gets to be too much or overwhelming, my body has resources to keep me safe as long as I know that I'm in a safe place. So you can use your breath. You can use your breath in several ways. You can use the actual thought of your breath, the feeling, the physical feeling of your breath, or you can use sounds. You can use the sounds, or you can even use something that's physical but not your breath. You can use the feeling of the points that you are touching the ground. You could be laying, you could be sitting, but you can actually use the felt feeling of your body touching any surface. It's just a safe place to call home. So this brings us to the next slide. And it's, what is mindfulness? Because oftentimes we'll hear the two put together, mindfulness and meditation, right? But what is the difference? So mindfulness is the celebration, if you will. So meditation is the practice. It's the weight room. It's the effort. It's the time you've put in to train the puppy all the time. One of my dogs knows how to wave. Her name is Mango. And it took a lot of time for her to learn this, a lot of effort. But now, every time Mango sees or smells food, she's waving, literally waving, right? So now Mango has achieved what is in the mindfulness category. So it's essentially the result of the practice and the skills that you've been cultivating. So when you've been putting in the hours, you've been going to the weight room, you've been practicing playing the instrument, and then when your pal asks you months later to help carry something, up the stairs, and they hand you some groceries and you feel the weight of it, right? And you're grabbing it and you're like, oh my gosh, I have gotten stronger, right? And you see that your effort actually paying off in real time. Or if you're practicing an instrument and you're in your room and you've been practicing 3 chords, and after months you just start to kind of riff and have a good time, and it's just coming out of you and you can feel the joy. So this is mindfulness. It's a celebration of the work that you've put into the meditation practice. It's catching moments in your everyday life, and lives in general. It's full of mundane situations, right? We make food, or we're eating food someone's made for us, or we're at the shop. We might not want to be at the shop, but we're at the shop because we have to, or we're walking the dog, or we're walking to a bus stop, right? These are mundane activities, but when we're able to find joy in a beautiful flower poking through just a tiny crack in the bricks and see it, or you're walking to the bus stop and say you see a dog, and it might be Mango, right? And she's maybe looking more like a piglet than a dog because she's an English bulldog, and you see her or a dog and it makes you laugh. You actually have a physical smile on your face. It's bringing you joy. So it's the seeing and the noticing of just the seemingly small things in life. And because what you're doing and what's happening is that you notice these things that some people might walk right by and pay no attention to. But what's happening is you're here, like you've come home and you're not time traveling. And everybody's things are going to be different. What you see and what brings you joy isn't actually what really is important here. Like my favorite color is red, so I'm drawn to all things red. And every time I see something red, no matter what it is, it sparks a bit of a joy. But it's because I'm noticing. It's because I'm deciding that I'm not time traveling into the past, maybe ruminating about possibly something that a friend said that might have made me mad. And I'm also not time traveling into the future, possibly worrying about a phone call or an appointment coming up, or waiting on the results of something that we can't control. We can't. So we're deciding to be here. You've seen the flower. You've felt joy as you've seen the dog on the walk. And this is what you've been practicing. It's being present in the moments for life. So the meditation is the work, and the mindfulness is the payoff. It's the recognition that life, in the mundaneness of it and the scary situations, has so much joy. Like, what color is the person you're sitting next to in the waiting room? What color is their jumper? Or what color is their socks? Like, socks are my love language. I love socks. I like bright socks. I like when socks don't match. I love the playfulness of them. But it's finding the playfulness. It's finding the small joys, and your body listens. So it's deciding on purpose through practice to stay and to feel. And ultimately, what mindfulness teaches us is that we're not defined by our thoughts or our bodies and our emotions. So I have thoughts, but I am not my thoughts. And I have a body, but I am not my body. And I have emotions, but I am not my emotions. So we feel anger, but we are not anger, right? And we feel sadness. We all feel sadness, but we are not sadness. And we feel joy, but we actually are not joy. So we're not defined by the thoughts that we think of or our bodies that help us in many ways, and our emotions that come and go as we interact with the world and the people around us. And I typically go really deeply into these three aspects of meditation because they're actually the foundations of meditation. But for today, I'm going to give you one more practice session. And for some, it might be your second time ever entering the meditation weight room, if you will, because you've already done one at the beginning of the session. So you're on a roll. And for others, you may have been practicing meditation for years. But the important thing to remember is that just like anything you do, or anything you want to learn, or anything that you want to grow, you need to put energy and attention into it. And the type of energy that I'd like to invite you to bring into your practice is loving energy, just pure loving energy. And if you're thinking to yourself, Britt, I have no idea what that means. If you ever forget, just ask yourself one question. What friend do I want with me today? Which friend do I want talking to me? And I can pretty much guarantee it will be across the board the friend that is supportive, that is loving, that is kind. Okay, so I want you to bring your inner dialogue as much as you can as that loving, supportive friend. So this is going to bring us to the next slide. And we're going to sit once again. And this sit is going to be a bit longer. And it's going to be a metta meditation. And what a metta meditation is, that's actually really fun to say, a metta meditation, is a meditation on loving kindness. And it's one of my absolute favorites. And I felt like this was one of the most important gifts I could give you today. And there's going to be a little audio of this recorded that I've already recorded and will be given to you as a resource that whenever you need it or want it, you'll be able to re-listen to it. So you can do it daily if you want, or weekly or monthly, or just whenever you feel like you could use a little bit more reminder of loving kindness. So we're going to get into a comfortable position once again. It's a bit longer, so I want you to find a position that you find in compassion and ease, and it could be sitting. You could use a chair, or I like to meditate typically on the ground with a cushion. And it doesn't need to be a fancy cushion. It could be like a cushion off of a chair or a pillow. And you can lie down and you can be comfortable lying down, but don't fall asleep. Not yet. We're not there yet. But I want you to be comfortable because we're trying to really release the rules. There aren't any rules as long as you're alert enough to hear what I'm saying and put the energy into it. So now allowing the eyes to gently close if you feel comfortable and safe to do so. Otherwise, you can soften your gaze and just have your gaze cast downward. And just take a few big, deep breaths. In through your nose if you can. And exhale through your nose if you can as well. And as you do this, I want you to try to visualize that you're breathing in through your nostrils. So you're feeling the air going up into your nostrils, into your lungs, but then coming out through your heart space. So physically, the air is still coming out through your nose, but the energy is coming out through your heart space, straight out of your heart. And see if you can create some softness around the heart, some space. And again, inhaling through the nostrils and filling the body with oxygen. And releasing through the heart space, just pouring that energy once again out through the heart. See if you can create even more space. So we're creating space here to both give and receive love. And allowing your breath to just find its natural rhythm now. We'll do a scan just to check in with our bodies in this moment. So starting from the top of your head, softening and smiling with your eyes, relaxing the inside of your mouth and palate and your jaw, releasing the tension in your neck and shoulders, checking in with your hands. Are they soft or are they clenching? Noticing the posture of your back muscles. Can you soften or readjust? And relaxing your belly. Noticing how your legs are feeling right now. If they're making contact with the floor or a chair. And any tension in your feet or toes. Just inviting the body to soften and to open. And to welcome what lies ahead. And allowing yourself to really melt into this position. So like I said, we're going to be sitting today for a session on metta, which is the practice of loving kindness. So we will begin by bringing someone you love into the forefront of your mind. Someone whose love comes easily and your body feels safe to be around. Now creating a mental picture and really beginning to open your heart and feel the love and safety of this person in your body. And this individual could be anyone from a friend or a family member or even a pet. And as this image grows more crisp in your mind's eye, feel how your heart begins to open, softening with each and every breath. Welcoming their love into your heart and into your body, into each cell of your body, and really feeling how their love impacts you. And sensing the warmth and care you feel when you're around them or when you speak with them. Now, holding this image gently, but with intention, I'd like to invite you to inwardly recite the following loving kindness phrases directed towards this individual. Remembering as you do, just to keep your breath soft and your heart open as best as you can. Okay, so let's begin. May you be happy. May you be healthy. May you be safe. May you be free from suffering. Now, you might get an image in your mind for each of these phrases as you're repeating them. And I'd invite you to sit with that image and both feel and see them receiving this special loving kindness from you. So we're going to repeat this and try to visualize the image for each phrase. So may you be happy. You might see them smiling, a blissful, joyful smile. Just holding on to that image just gently. May you be happy. And next, may you be healthy. You might see them walking or hiking, breathing with ease. The vision of health, whatever that might look like for them. May you be healthy. May you be safe. You might see them receiving a warm hug or tucked into a warm bed at night with a sense of ease and lightness. May you be safe. And finally, may you be free from suffering. You might see tears turning into a smile, or sadness drifting away like clouds in the sky. May you be free from suffering. Sending these phrases with this energy to this person we love so much, wishing them all the love and kindness this world has to offer, that we have to offer. Let's come back to our breath for a moment now and come home to our anchor while we allow this chosen being that we love so much to drift out of our thoughts, just like a cloud, and come back to the felt sense of your anchor, our home base. And next, I'd like to invite you to now bring forth an image of yourself, an image that keeps your heart open and that you love. Some of you might find this practice of directing loving kindness to yourself to be a bit more challenging, and that's okay. We all struggle with this at times. And sometimes holding your hand over your heart while you practice this loving kindness towards yourself can deepen the connection and the feelings or the sense of love that we're directing towards ourselves. And if that feels right for you today, you can absolutely try that. Just try to stay open and try to send the love and energy into your heart. Once again, sending this to yourself. May I be happy. May I be healthy. May I be safe. May I be free from suffering. This time around, allowing yourself to bring an image alongside the phrases as we did for the person that we love. And one last time, I want you just to send pure loving kindness to ourselves and really see in our mind's eye what that looks like. May I be happy. Welcoming that image of what that looks like for you. May I be healthy. May I be safe. What does it feel like to be safe? May I be free from suffering. Let's come back to our breath for a moment once again, coming home to our anchor, while we allow our thoughts and feelings to gently drift like clouds in the sky. No need to grasp. We know how to get these thoughts and feelings again if we'd like to do so. So for now, we come back to the breath or our chosen anchor. And I'd like to do this one last time now, because I'd like you to feel how much love your individual heart has the capacity for, and for collectively what we can do as a group. And you might think that extending so much focused energy and love would be exhausting, but my felt experience is that each time, like a snowball rolling down a hill, my love and energy just keeps growing bigger and stronger. So just before we close here, I'd like to invite you to once more practice metta and now include all creatures, both big and small, and everything in between, sending love and kindness to all living beings on this earth and in the universe, and visualizing a warm orange light touching each and every creature with warmth and love. And it's going to start with you, and it's going to spread outwardly in every direction until all living beings are included and covered in the light and energy that you're sending out to them. So together, we send an abundance of love, kindness, and energy. All right, here we go. One last time together. May all living beings be happy. May all living beings be healthy. May all living beings be safe. And may all living beings be free from suffering. We'll come back to our anchor one last time. We'll come home and allow these thoughts and feelings to simply drift away. And you might have a lingering felt sense of the love that you've been cultivating. And we'll relish in this a bit, right? We'll let our bodies and our cells feel this all the way down to our bones and our tissues, and drink this feeling up. And nothing gave you this feeling. You cultivated it. You created it all on your own. And I may have offered a script, but you heard your own voice and you saw your own images and you felt with your own heart. And now you know, and you have experienced that you have this ability, and it's inside of you, and it always will be. And it actually always has been. So now I'd like to invite you to let this feeling too drift away. And there's no need to cling. We know how to conjure it back up. We know how to create it again. So we'll let it drift, and we'll come back to the body and feeling where the body is making contact with the surface that's supporting you. And now sensing your surroundings and where you are in the room, if there are any sounds. And if your eyes are closed, when you feel ready, you can gently blink them back open. And I'm going to leave you with a quote by the author Barbara DeAngelis, which says, "Love and kindness are never wasted. They always make a difference. They bless the one who receives them, and they bless you, the giver." So this is actually the conclusion of my offering for tonight. And I just want to thank you all for being here, and for the Irish Cancer Society for allowing me to be the vehicle to make this offering. And if there are any questions, we have a few moments. I'd welcome any and all questions. So thank you all.
Wow, Britt. I think we're all just beginning to come to there. That was absolutely fantastic. And what I have learned from that is put my hand on my heart, and it just really grounds you automatically, just straight away. So I really enjoyed that, and I'm sure everybody online enjoyed it. And thank you for sharing your details there as well. We really appreciate that. Just one question I have is around apps, mindfulness apps. Are there any that you particularly recommend?
Yes, I love Insight Timer. It's a
Okay.
really beautiful app. And the why, because the why is important for me, is they not only have guided meditations, but they also have a lot of teaching, like wisdom training and education. So for instance, for college, I wrote a paper on polyvagal theory and how to regulate nervous system. And that was on the app. So not only was I able to get some education on what our nervous system is, I was then able to use that and do a meditation on it. So that app is just, it's a wealth of information, and it's kind of donations based once you're in the app. So it's diverse. You know, you can find the type, because not every meditation is for everybody. And so I like sometimes really visual meditations, and some days I like really less guided and more space for some. And so each day, each Brit I bring into a sit is different. You know, and sometimes it's easy and sometimes it's not. But that service, I think, has found to be really useful. And you can find so many beautiful offerings on YouTube.
Mhm.
on, if you Google, I have a lot of resources that I would love to share from some of my mentors, and they're all free and
Yeah.
they're wonderful. It's where I've learned what I have offered you.
Yeah.
So that's
Wow.
a great question.
Thank you. Thank you. Is there anybody else that has any questions, or maybe you're just all zen like now and find it difficult to re-engage your brain, which is a great credit to you, Britt. I think that might be it for the moment, Britt. So thank you
Yeah. Thank
so
you.
much. Oh, Michelle. Hi, Michelle.
Hey, I was just going to say, yeah, that was really beautiful, Britt. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed that.
Thanks, Michelle.
Lovely.
Thank you.
Lovely. Thank you, Michelle. Well, listen, thank you everybody for joining us this evening, and we're really grateful to both Michelle and Britt for a really lovely evening. And I really think that totally wraps up the compassion in cancer. I think looking after ourselves like that. So very grateful to you again.